Breaking news! The NFL trade deadline just closed, and what just happened with the Baltimore Ravens might leave you completely stunned. The front office made a choice that could either define this season or destroy it. A golden opportunity was right there, within reach, and they walked away. Why? What really happened behind the scenes? Who was almost wearing purple and black? And what shocking move did the Ravens refuse to make that the rest of the AFC isn't going to forget? But before we unravel this wild situation, make sure you hit that like button if you're a true Ravens fan. It's always amazing to see fans of all ages supporting this team. And if you feel like it, comment, "Go Ravens," in the chat. Let's hear from the real ones who bleed purple no matter what. The only move the Ravens made? Draymond Jones. That's right, a versatile edge rusher from the Tennessee Titans, who's admittedly playing his best football right now with 4.5 sacks in his last 4 games. He's got positional flexibility, can rush off the edge, or slide inside, where he started his career. And he didn't come at a steep cost either, just a conditional 5th-round pick, which becomes a 4th if he gets 2 more sacks and the Ravens make the playoffs. But let's be honest, that's not what this fan base was hoping for. Heading into the final hours of the trade deadline, expectations were high. Rumors had been flying. There was buzz about interior defensive help. There was anticipation for moves on the offensive line. There was even chatter about maybe, just maybe, a blockbuster that would send a ripple across the entire AFC. And instead, what we got felt like leftovers after a big feast everyone else enjoyed. Let's talk specifics. First, the glaring need that was not addressed, the interior offensive line. Fans have every right to feel uneasy about relying on Daniel Falale and Andrew Voorhees moving forward. That's not a championship caliber interior. The run game is inconsistent, and pass protection has holes. We've watched this line get pushed back one too many times in critical moments. And then there's the defensive line, where things might be even more troubling. Travis Jones is the lone reliable presence, with Brent Urban and rookie Brick Washington both dealing with injuries. The fact that John Jacobs might be the second best option inside? That's concerning. And the opportunity was there. Oh, it was there. Quinnen Williams. Yes, that Quinnen Williams. Elite, dominant, a game wrecker in the middle of the line. And the Ravens were in on him. They reportedly offered a 2nd and a 4th. But the Dallas Cowboys outbid everyone, giving up a 2026 2nd, a 2027 1st, and Motzie Smith. Forget Motzie Smith for a second. He's been a non-factor. This deal came down to picks, and the Ravens blinked. Let's look at the numbers for Quinnen Williams. This is why fans are frustrated. 24 run stops, tied for the most in the league among DTs. 14 run stuffs, again, tied for first. He's being double-teamed 41% of the time and still putting up elite stats. His pass rush productivity? 16 pressures on 201 pass rushes. That would lead the Ravens. He adds over 20 points in expected defensive value. He's that good. And the Ravens? They passed. A 1st and a 2nd was too steep. Maybe for the future, sure, but what about now? What about this season? Here's the brutal truth. You're 3-5. The defense is playing better, yes, but you still can't stop the run consistently. The AFC North isn't waiting for anyone, and you're 2 games back with 9 to go. This team had a shot to get elite talent, and they hesitated. That's the part that stings the most. And the offensive line? No reinforcements. Kevin Zeitler was available, and he's a plug-and-play answer. But again, nothing. Just silence. Compare that to last season. When the Ravens traded for Tre'Davious White, it felt like a team going all in. This year, it feels like they held back. Maybe they're trusting the locker room. Maybe they believe in internal development. But that's a gamble, and one that could cost them if things start unraveling in December. As for the players who stayed, Mark Andrews isn't going anywhere, thankfully. There were light rumors about Green Bay making a move after an injury to Tucker Kraft, but nothing materialized. He's still the number 1 safety valve for Lamar Jackson, and as his contract runs down, this could be the final stretch of his Ravens career. Keaton Mitchell also stays, thankfully. There was speculation that his sudden increase in touches was just to boost his trade value. But he's still in Baltimore, and if the coaches would just hand him the ball more, he could become a weapon down the stretch. Let's dive right back in. While the Ravens stayed relatively quiet, the rest of the AFC was anything but. If you thought Baltimore's lack of urgency was a strategic patience play, one look at the moves made across the conference might make you question that logic. Let's start with the bombshell, the Indianapolis Colts. Yes, the Colts, a team with a shaky quarterback situation, went out and made what might be the boldest move of the entire trade deadline. They landed Sauce Gardner. That's right, one of the best young cornerbacks in the NFL is now a Colt. The price? A 2026 first, a 2027 first, and Adonai Mitchell. That's a major haul, no doubt. But it also sends a clear message. Indy's betting big. They're saying Daniel Jones is their guy, and they're building a defense that can hold up against anyone. Meanwhile, the Cincinnati Bengals shipped linebacker Logan Wilson to Dallas for a 7th-round pick. A team already thin on defense just got thinner. That's a move that could seriously come back to bite them, especially with no replacement in sight and Trey Hendrickson still there, but vulnerable to heavy double teams now. You can question their logic all day long, but what matters for the Ravens is that one of their division rivals just got weaker in the middle of their defense. Cleveland? They added Joe Tryon-Shoyinka and gave up a 2026 7th-round pick and a late-rounder. Not a headline move, but it adds depth to their pass rush, a small win for them in the trenches, where games are often decided. You might not hear a lot of noise about that trade, but in a tight AFC North, even subtle roster shifts can tilt games. Jacksonville made waves too, grabbing wide receiver Jacoby Myers for a 4th and 6th. That gives Trevor Lawrence another weapon and signals that the Jags are not content to ride their current offensive setup into the postseason. Baltimore could potentially see them in a wild card or divisional matchup, and Myers' ability to stretch the field and convert third downs could be a problem. The Chargers picked up Trevor Penning, giving a 6th to the Saints. Again, not a flashy move, but they added offensive line depth, and in a conference with some ferocious pass rushers, that matters. Penning has struggled, sure, but he's also got raw tools and upside. A late-season surge could make that look like a genius addition. The Jets? They fleeced the Chargers, sending Jermaine Taylor out for a 2028 conditional 7th. That's practically nothing. New York may not be a direct threat to the Ravens in the standings, but if that defensive front continues to improve, they become a dangerous spoiler team. A late-season matchup with them could be brutal, especially now that they're adding depth without giving up any real assets. And here's where things get tricky for Baltimore. Every one of those teams just mentioned has either maintained or improved its roster, and many of them did so aggressively. While the Ravens opted for caution, other front offices were throwing punches. And now the Ravens are standing in a weight class where nearly every opponent just added muscle. We mentioned it before, but it's worth repeating. This Ravens team is 3-5. Not terrible, but not secure. They're in a knife fight for the playoffs and 2 games back in a brutal division. The schedule doesn't get much easier. And now, you're relying on the hope that Draymond Jones can immediately hit the ground running, that Brent Urban stays healthy, that Daniel Falele and Voorhees can somehow hold up against elite interior rushers, and that the team as a whole plays above their paper-thin depth. It's a lot to ask. It's not impossible, but it's a high-wire act without a net. So the real question becomes, why didn't Baltimore push harder? Was it fear of mortgaging the future? Was it overconfidence in the roster? Was it indecision? The Quinnen Williams deal, specifically, will linger. You offered a 2nd and a 4th. You knew what he could bring. And for just one more pick, a 1st in 2027, he could have been a Raven. How much would that have changed the entire season? Because right now, the Ravens don't have a true identity on defense. They have flashes. They have promise. But identity? Dominance? Leadership? That's missing, and Quinnen Williams could have been that guy. Instead, the Ravens are banking on guys like Travis Jones and Draymond Jones stepping up. They're banking on staying healthy, and they're banking on Lamar Jackson and this offense somehow carrying more weight than they should. It's a risky bet. So now we turn to the fans. Was this the right call? Should the Ravens have gone all in and matched Dallas's offer for Quinnen? Or was holding on to future picks the smarter play in the long run? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you're still watching, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. Check out the video on screen now for more Ravens insights and reactions, and as always, we'll see you next time.